Last night, I almost died for $500. My name is Elias, and before yesterday, I was a practical man. I didn't believe in ghosts or monsters. I believed in fixing things with a screwdriver and a wrench. But desperation changes a man. With my knees failing and my sister's medical bills reaching the ceiling, I didn't have the luxury of fear. I thought I was just taking a night shift to pay the debts. I was wrong. I wasn't just selling my time. I was gambling with my soul. It all started with a classified ad in a soggy newspaper. Night Watchman wanted, Omega Logistics, $500 a night, cash. That kind of money doesn't make sense just for sitting in an empty warehouse. I should have known. I should have been suspicious. The interview was short. No HR department, no background checks. Just a man named Mr. Vance, sitting in a room that smelled of sterile chemicals. He didn't ask if I could fight. He just asked one thing. Elias, how good are you at following written instructions? I told him that as long as the check clears, I'll do exactly what I'm told. Vance gave a thin smile, handed me a magnetic key card, and gave me an address in an industrial zone that had been dead for years. The place was called the Omega facility. From the outside, it looked like a bankrupt cannery. But the moment I stepped into the main security post, I realized this wasn't a normal warehouse. The equipment was old, but advanced. And there, in the center of the cold metal desk, was a laminated sheet of paper titled Night Shift Protocols. It read like a madman's joke. Rule number 1, check CCTV monitor 4 every 15 minutes. If the statue at the end of the hall changes position, turn off the monitor for 10 seconds. Rule number 2, ignore any crying sounds from the vents between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. And rule number 4, printed in bold red ink. Entry to Sector 4 is strictly prohibited. Do not open the containment unit. No exceptions. I laughed when I read it. I thought it was some stupid hazing ritual for new hires. So, I brewed my black coffee and prepared for the easiest night of my life. God, I was so stupid. To kill time, I started exploring the security booth. It was a mess of old coffee cups and rusted filing cabinets. In the bottom drawer of the desk, hidden under a pile of takeout menus, I found a small, leather-bound notebook. It was dusty, smelling of mold. I opened it. It was a shift log from the previous Watchman, a guy named Miller. The first few entries were boring. Complaints about the rain, the bad plumbing. But the entries from his last week were disturbing. October 12th. The vents are whispering again. Not the crying. Whispers. They know my name. October 13th. I saw the warden on the cameras. He wasn't doing his rounds. He was standing outside the security door. Just standing there. Watching me. October 14th. I can't take the money anymore. The girl in the tank. She's awake. She screamed in my head all night. The entries stopped there. The last page was ripped out violently. I closed the book, my hands feeling cold. Just a crazy guy, I told myself. Miller probably cracked from the isolation. I threw the book back into the drawer. I tried to convince myself it was fiction, but deep down, the hairs on the back of my neck were standing up. I wasn't alone here. The silence in the room suddenly felt heavy, like the air pressure had dropped before a storm. The first 2 hours passed without further incident. The rain hammered against the tin roof, creating a rhythm that almost put me to sleep. I kept my eyes on monitor 4. There was an old mannequin standing in the corner. Ugly, dusty, but definitely just an inanimate object. But then, at exactly 1:15 a.m., the screen glitched. When the picture stabilized, my heart skipped a beat. The statue wasn't in the corner anymore. The thing was now standing right in the center of the hallway, facing the camera. It wasn't a cheap camera trick. That thing had moved 10 feet from its original spot. Hands shaking, I turned off the monitor just like the rules said. When I turned it back on, the mannequin was back in the corner. Someone was messing with me. Before my anger could even settle, an alarm blared. Not a burglar alarm, but a temperature alert. The control panel in front of me lit up red. The indicators showed a critical overheat in the main cooling system. The location? Sector 4. It was a terrible choice. Follow the rules and let the place explode, which meant I'd be dead or fired, or break the rules to fix the damage. My technician instincts won out. I grabbed my toolbox and sprinted toward the steel door marked restricted. Screw the rules, I thought. I'll fix the damn fuse and be back before anyone knows. The corridor leading to Sector 4 was a nightmare of industrial decay. The lights overhead buzzed like angry hornets, flickering in a sequence that made my eyes hurt. With every step I took, the temperature dropped. My breath started to form clouds of mist in the air. The walls here weren't concrete. They were lined with thick, soundproofing foam that had been clawed at by something with sharp nails. Long, deep gouges ran parallel along the hallway at a height of about 7 feet, too high for a human. I gripped my wrench tighter, my knuckles turning white. The silence in this hallway was unnatural. No rain noise, no wind, just the sound of my own boots hitting the metal grating of the floor. Clang, clang, clang. I felt like a dinner bell ringing for whatever lived down here. I reached the heavy blast door marked Sector 4. There was a small viewing window, reinforced with wire mesh. I wiped the condensation off the glass and peeked inside. Darkness. Absolute, shifting darkness. But the smell, it hit me even through the steel door. Ozone, copper, and something sweet like rotting flowers. I swiped my keycard. The mechanism groaned, ancient gears grinding together before the door hissed open. Sector 4 wasn't a warehouse. It was a laboratory. The air in there was frigid, smelling of ozone and antiseptic. In the center of the vast room stood a massive glass cylinder, 15 feet tall. Inside it, floating in suspension, was a humanoid figure, a woman. But her skin had the texture of cracked porcelain, glowing with a faint blue light. She was connected to IV tubes, her eyes closed, looking peaceful. But the electrical panel next to her tank was sparking violently. She was being cooked alive because the cooling system had failed. I ran to the panel, cut the main circuit, and rigged a strictly emergency bypass. In 2 minutes, the sparks stopped. The temperature began to drop. "Done," I whispered, relieved. That was when I felt eyes on me. The woman in the tank opened her eyes. Her pupils weren't round. They were shaped like swirling galaxies. A voice resonated directly inside my skull, soft but echoing. "You are different." I took a step back in shock. The woman tilted her head, her expression shifting to sudden fear. She wasn't looking at me anymore. She was staring at the door I had just come through. She tapped the glass rapidly, a panic signal, and pointed underneath the lab desk. "Hide." The voice echoed in my head. "The warden is coming." I slid under the metal desk, holding my breath. From the shadows of the doorway, something entered. It wasn't human. It was a 7-foot-tall figure wearing a torn hazmat suit, with no face behind its mask. It held a crackling electric baton. The creature stalked around the tank, inspecting the panel I had just fixed, then growled like a broken engine. It knew someone had touched it. The woman in the tank closed her eyes, pretending to sleep to protect me. The creature stood still for a full minute, its head rotating mechanically as it scanned the room. Suddenly, its radio crackled with static, followed by the sound of dragging footsteps leaving the room. I waited 10 minutes until my legs stopped shaking before I crawled out. I looked at the woman one last time. She opened her eyes slightly, offering a faint smile of gratitude. I ran out of Sector 4, locked the door, and got back to the security post just as the sun came up. At 6 a.m., Mr. Vance arrived. He saw me sitting there, pale as a sheet. But he didn't ask any questions. He just placed a thick brown envelope containing $500 on the desk. "Shift is over, Elias. See you tomorrow night?" he asked flatly. I took the envelope. Real money. Enough for my sister's medication. I should have run. I should have never come back. I broke the rules. I almost died. But as I walked to my old car, I could still feel the echo of that voice in my head. She was alone in there, trapped, tortured, and she had saved me. I started the engine and looked at the Omega facility in the rearview mirror. "See you tomorrow, Vance," I muttered. I need the money, that's true. But now I have another reason. I want to know who she is, and I'm going to get her out of there. This was just the first night.